Hello everybody, Blugoblin here. Thank you for joining me for my comic book review for this week of July 2014. Yes, I did get a haircut, and yeah, I am aware of this here. I'm getting older, folks. That's what happens. But, yeah, before I get started, there's a few things I want to say. First of all, Jennifer and I have finally found some more goofy shit to review for Arkham Asylum Studio, so stay tuned. If you're subscribed to that channel, great. All you gotta do is just stay tuned and get ready. Later on this week, we're gonna film those reviews that we've been wanting to do for the longest time. We finally found some goofy shit to review for that channel, and once we get them filmed and once we get them edited and produced and everything like that, we'll get them uploaded to the channel as soon as we possibly can. Don't know when they're coming up, but we will be filming those reviews later on this week. Another thing, go check out my Blugoblin X channel. I did it last week. I'm gonna do it this week. I'm gonna put a link to that channel in the description of the last video I did for that channel, which is how I would have booked a wrestling card in the Afterlife. A wrestling card for nothing but wrestlers who unfortunately are no longer with us. And I had a blast putting that video together. I had a blast talking about that, and that's probably one of the best videos I think I've ever done for the Blugoblin X channel, in my personal biased opinion. Go check that out. Let me know what you think. I know my old buddies Brandon Hex and TheMtVernonKid have already chimed in on that, and I appreciate that. Go subscribe while you're there, while you're at it. Don't forget Twitter at Blugoblin01, Blugoblin.tumblr.com. I'm gonna plug myself for all it's worth. That sounded wrong. Enough with the shilling and the advertising. Let's get to the reviews at hand. We're gonna start with DC and with Marvel. Warning, there may be some gushing, a little bit of nerding out, and just a little smidge of ranting. Side effects may include nausea, headache, and upset stomach. Let's move on to DC. We're starting off with Batgirl number 33. Gail Simone's run on this title is unfortunately coming to an end. This is the penultimate issue of Gail Simone's run on the title. Issue 34 will be her final issue before we get to the new creative team and the new Batgirl. Don't even get me started. But onto this. This was solid. Really solid. Barbara is... I'm probably going to be catching shit for this because, of course, it's Gail Simone. I have to kiss her ass. I mean, it's almost become an internet rule. Oh, Gail Simone writes a book, you have to kiss her ass. You know, but in all fairness, you know, Gail does watch my show. She's plugged it several times. She has plugged this show several times. More times than she's, quite frankly, needed to. I would have been happy with just one plug. She's plugged my show maybe 5 or 6 times. But, and I do appreciate that. But I'm thinking the most common criticism I have is that she's starting to write Batgirl a little too edgy, a little too hard. You know, like she's always got a stick up her ass. You know, it's like, now, wait just a second before, slow your roll and think about what you're saying here before you say it. Now, if you haven't been reading Batman Eternal, which unfortunately I have stopped reading Batman Eternal, but when I was reading it, Barbara was going through some really, really personal shit. And Gail is doing a great job of tying in Barbara's emotional struggles into this series. I mean, you got to think about this. Her dad gets arrested, sent to prison. Last time I looked at Batman Eternal, Commissioner Gordon is not doing so well. And of course, this is pissing Barbara off to the point where she's actually come to blows with Batman. And Gail is transporting that raw emotional baggage into this series, and she does a really good job. Because not only does Barbara got to put up with what's going on with her dad, she's also got to put up with the shit involving Nightfall here and also in Gotham. Not to mention, she's got some heavy trust issues. And let's add on top of the fact that her roommate / best friend Alicia has also went through a traumatic experience with her new girlfriend Joe concerning Ragdoll. You also got the stuff involving her boyfriend who thought about suing her father. All kinds of baggage, just a pile of emotional baggage. Not to mention a former friend of Barbara's that just shows up out of nowhere and starts making demands / threats. I mean, you gotta really think about this. If you were going through all that shit at once, wouldn't you be a little edgy and pissed off too? Especially concerning what we see between Barbara and Huntress in this issue. Really, really tells the tale of just how much Barbara's just about ready to just say, fuck it, and just let go and let loose, and I love that. This is really good. But, her and the Birds of Prey, might as well go ahead and say it, it's her, Black Canary, and Huntress, the true Birds of Prey in my honest opinion. They kidnap one of Nightfall's henchmen. And they interrogate him, he's like, go ahead and do what you gotta do, I don't care. But there's a certain something that happens with this guy that makes him realize, shit. Alright, might as well go ahead and let you know I'm a dead man anyway. So, Barbara calls in at the end of the issue, she makes a bunch of calls in a bunch of favors. But the last page just makes me go, what kind of a favor is she going to get from him? Of course, I don't know how the last issue of Gail's run is going to go, but Gail has promised a lot of good shit in her final issue, and I'm hoping she delivers because she got me excited with this issue alone. I give it a 4. Moving on to Detective Comics number 33. This is the next part of the Icarus storyline. There's really a heavy focus on Detective Bullock, not just in this issue, but throughout this entire story, because remember, this is a very, very personal case. We don't know everything. We don't know every reason why this particular case is personal. We just know that this is a case that really digs into Bullock's skin. We learn a little bit more about it in here. It's not given in great detail, but we learn something about Harvey Bullock in here through Batman that just makes Bullock about ready to snap and say, fuck the badge, I need to get this shit done. You know, that's just kind of the feeling I got. That's kind of the vibe I got from the cliffhanger of this particular issue. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but there's a difference between knowing exactly what's going to happen and getting a feeling of what's going to happen. The way the artwork is done, it's nice and gritty and it fits with this kind of storytelling. That's one of the things I look for a lot when I read a comic book, is I read the story and I take a good long look at the artwork and see if the artwork helps mesh with the storytelling to help better sell what I'm reading. And in this particular issue and in this particular story concerning the whole Icarus thing, it really works. We learn more about the Aguila family, who unfortunately, Elena Aguila, who tragically was killed with this whole Icarus thing. We learn something about her immediate family, and that's all I'm going to say about that. We get to see some more dynamic detective skills from Batman, as well as Harvey Bullock, with some assistance, with Batman getting some assistance from Alfred and Harvey getting assistance from fellow detectives at the police department. I mean, this is a true representation of the word Detective Comics. The words Detective Comics. It just really fits. This is a true dark and gritty detective style story, and it's really well played out. Just the cliffhanger just kind of made me go, okay, this could really go somewhere. I'm really looking forward to the conclusion of this story because it's really got my attention. It's really piqued my interest. The drama is all there. The tension is all there. And I love this, oh God, what should I call it, a love-hate relationship between Batman and Harvey Bullock? I know Batman respects the duty that Harvey Bullock serves, but at the same time, Bullock hates Batman and everything he represents. I mean, it's just that rivalry, that detective-style rivalry is there, and it's properly represented. I thought it was really well handled. It's not perfect, but for what I got, I enjoyed it. It was solid, a great read. I give it a 4. Alright. Ending DC off with Green Lantern Corps number 33. Oh my god. This took me by surprise. If you follow me on Twitter, that's what I tweeted after I got done reading this. I read this and I tweeted that this completely took me by surprise on how well it was. And kudos to everybody who worked on this particular storyline, the Uprising storyline. Kudos to everybody working on it, because going into this issue, I literally did not have a clue, because I don't read solicitations. I don't like to be spoiled when I'm this far invested in a storyline. I went into this not expecting that much. I was expecting maybe one or two things, and what I got in here just completely threw me off. I was like, whoa! Fatality. Oh man, the stuff that happens in here, the brutality, the action, the tension. There are casualties in this issue at the end of this story. I will say that. But when I saw the stuff I saw in here, I was like, whoa. And I was like, Jesus. They did their best to, hide some of the predictability that some comic books can have. And they actually caught me off guard with something that I wasn't expecting. And I'm like, okay. So, Fatality, I'm going to minorly spoil this. But their Fatality is not actually the real Fatality. Yura, But, oh man. The stuff that happens with her, and the stuff that's going on with the rest of the Durlan race, just twist after twist after moment, and it all ties well together to a really satisfying conclusion to this story. Yeah, wow, just simply wow. Kudos to everybody, Jensen Chang, everybody. This was good. This was really, really good. It's been a long time since I've gushed this much over a Green Lantern book. But god damn it, you got me to gush, DC, and I will applaud you for that. This was fucking awesome. I give it a 4. Moving on to Marvel, we're going to all new X-Men number 29. Brian Michael Bendis, Stuart Immonen. This is, I'm hoping, the conclusion of this whole evil brotherhood from the future shit, because, okay, it wrapped up very well, and we learned a lot of things about the future brotherhood. We learned a lot. It turns out, minor spoilers, it turns out that the evil brotherhood / evil X-Men from the future, not all of them are evil. There's probably only 2 evil people there, and that's what they coined Baby Xavier and Wolverine and Mystique's son, Reyes. Those are the only 2 evil mutants in this group. All the rest of the mutants were manipulated by Baby Xavier. And this is also the first time in a long time, probably the first time in years and years and years and years and years, that I've seen in a mainstream Marvel comic. And I'm not talking about, and I'm not counting Kick-Ass. I'm not. I'm talking about the mainstream, applies to basically all ages Marvel comics. Whether it be X-Men, Spiderman, or, Avengers, whatever. The first time in many, 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 many years that I've seen the words, God damn it, in print. There's a scene where Jean is fighting off Baby Xavier and the Cuckoos are snapping out of their trance, and one of them goes, we need to take care of Xavier, and the other one goes, don't worry, Jean Grey's on it, and one of them goes, oh, God damn it. I was like, whoa. Usually they would put a bunch of little symbols and asterisks and percentage signs or any kinds of shit to censor it, yet you would still know what they were saying. No, they just were flat out, God damn it. Ballsy move. Ballsy move. I know it's a small little thing in this comic book, but it's worth mentioning. And I have to mention it to, say, ballsy move, Bendis, ballsy move. I'll give you that. But with what happens and what we learned about Baby Xavier and how the X-Men deal with him and everything, it's really well wrapped up. It's really well tied together. It's really well, overall, a fitting conclusion to this storyline. Now, with that being said, I think that these characters need to go away for a while. Because it's definitely implied that someday they will return. Okay? I get that. But we need to have a break from these characters. Because how much longer are we going to be able to put up with Baby Xavier and the evil X-Men / Brotherhood from the future before we eventually start getting burnt out on these characters? We need to have a break. Keep them gone for at least a year. Keep them gone for maybe at least 2 years. We need a break from them. Bring them back when we shouldn't expect them to come back. Don't make us go, oh, it's been a few months, it's time for them to come back. I know Marvel will do it. No, don't be like that. Keep them gone for, at the very least, a year. Try to keep them gone for 2 years. If you're going to bring them back, give us a long break from them. Focus on other villains. Focus on other characters. Focus on other ordeals for the original young X-Men to deal with in the future time, away from their time in the past. Give us more focus. Give us more characters. Don't keep hitting the reset button. Oh, we got to deal with this guy again. We got to deal with this guy again. Give us a break. It was a good run. It's a good story. Not perfect, but it was a good story. It wrapped up very well. Now, take a break. Overall, a solid ending to this story. Very well done. But like I said, not perfect, and we need a break. I give it a 3.5. Moving on to The Amazing Spider-Man number 1.3. This is part 3 of Learning to Crawl. This is good. This is still really good stuff. The artwork gets a little scratchy compared to the last 2 parts of this storyline. It gets a little scratchy, and some of the artwork kind of feels like it may have been a little bit rushed. However, with that being said, Dan Slott does do a nice job writing. It turns out Peter had much more problems in his rookie days than we anticipated. Of course, that's old news now, considering what we've been seeing so far in this particular storyline concerning Clash. But this is where we get the first implications as to, how Peter came to the decision to get his photography job at the Daily Bugle. We get to see what triggered Aunt May's hatred for Spider-Man. We get to see one of Spider-Man's true first rivals that carried a deep down personal grudge. We get to see all this. We also get to see a focus on Peter Parker's scientific skills. Something we rarely see nowadays. I mean, yeah, sure, he's brainy, but we really don't see him dive down deep into his scientific knowledge. He just always seems to have a scientific answer that's born out of plot convenience. But in here, we really get to see how well he is with science and how well he can improvise on the fly with it. It's really well done. We also get to see how this is one of the first true times he's really tested the limits of his strength. It's like there's something he does in here that really tests his strength for the true first time, and it nearly wipes him out. Yet at the same time, we get to see the emotional outcry of why Peter believes maybe he shouldn't be Spider-Man. And that's where I come to the end of the issue, and he's like, I'm done. I'm not going to be Spider-Man anymore. And every time I see that, it just makes me just go, how many fucking times has Peter said this and not followed through with it? Okay, now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I want Peter Parker to stop being Spider-Man. I'm not saying that at all. But how many times has he gotten pissy? And how many times has he just said, oh, I'm done, I quit. But then he goes right back to it. How many fucking times has we seen this? How many times? Look, Spider-Man is my favorite character, my favorite superhero. I will never deny that. But with that being said, even though Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, that does not exclude him from bullshit moments like that. It does not excuse him. I will not make excuses for him when I see bullshit surround him. I'm tired of seeing him say, I don't want to be Spider-Man anymore, yet just moments later, he's back in costume being Spider-Man. I'm tired of it. Dan, Mr. Slott, everybody at Marvel, stop fucking doing that twist. It got old in the fucking 70s. It's not gonna get any better in 2014. Enough with him saying he wants to quit being Spider-Man when we goddamn well and know he is not going to ever fucking quit. Unless he dies and then gets magically brought back to life because we need to amp up the sales of Spider-Man comics. All in all, despite that humongous headache at the last page, this was still a good book for what it was, and I give it a 3. Moving on to Amazing X-Men, number 9. Woo! Oh man, where do I begin with this? Wolverine is stuck in Canada with Wendigos, plural. Not just one, not just two, not just 3, but a whole fucking city load of them. They even point out in this issue, usually when we fight a Wendigo, there's usually only 1 or maybe 2 of them. But now there's a whole town full of them. Turns out what's going on with this whole World War Wendigo thing is that the Wendigos are being spawned out of what they would consider a Wendigo virus. It's kind of like a zombie outbreak. That's literally what they're doing with this. They're taking the Wendigo concept and making it a zombie-like virus. You get bit, or you get cut, or you get touched, or if you get bit, or if you get scratched by a Wendigo, boom, you become one. Which makes the last page make perfect fucking sense from a comic book logic standpoint. The last page, the cliffhanger, made perfect fucking sense. Yet at the same time, the last page made you go, whoa. Just really good stuff. And it's really good to see Colossus back with an X-Men team he needs to be with. And you can tell there's still some baggage with Colossus in here. You can definitely tell that. And it's nice to see him and Kurt working together and everything. Angelica and Bobby, dialogue-wise, they need to grow up a little bit. They're talking to each other like they're freaking 12. I get it, they're young. They're supposed to still be considered youngsters in the X-Men, but yet at the same time, Iceman was one of the original X-Men. I would have figured he would be just a little more mature. I mean, this Iceman, this is grown up old Iceman. The way his dialogue is, it's kind of like they gave the dialogue from the 60s Iceman, the young teenage Iceman, to grown-up Iceman. It's like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. There's literally lots of lines about people needing to go to the bathroom in here, and that got old really quick. But all in all, the action here was good. It's nice to see some old faces, some old familiar faces from Alpha Flight in here again. Just really good. But that last page, goddamn. Even though I kind of saw something like that coming, it still made me go, whoa, nice, very nice. Really looking forward to seeing how this storyline progresses and ultimately ends. This was a good issue, but it still had its little things in there that just made me go, ugh. I give it a 3.5. Alright, moving on to Daredevil number 5. Mark Waid making that magic work like he always does with this title. I'm not going to gush too much about this because I don't want to spoil a damn thing. What I will say about this issue is fucking buy it! And I will also say that Mark Waid did a fantastic job reminding us just how close a friendship Matt and Foggy Nelson have. Long story short, this is where we get the notion of how Foggy Nelson died. This is how we see it happen. And that's all I'm going to say. This was a great read, very nicely detailed, really good thinking from all the characters involved, and a solid job with the writing. The artwork was great as well. This was a fantastic book. I give it a 4.5. Fucking incredible. Get this book and read it. Moving on to Nightcrawler number 4. Chris Claremont. Call me a fanboy. I don't fucking care. I like Chris Claremont. He is still Mr. X-Men to me. You want to talk about drama. You want to talk about good action. You want to talk about tension and heartbreak. Here you go. This was great. This was really good. All kinds of stuff is happening in here, and it kept my attention throughout the whole fucking thing. The Tri-Megas are attacking the Jean Grey School. Wolverine's in his new battle armor suit, and he's wearing the gauntlets that have claws in it instead of popping the claws in his hands, which is smart because they remembered, and Chris Claremont remembered. Wolverine doesn't have his healing factor anymore, so he can't pop his hand claws anymore unless he wants to bleed to death, because remember, his claws come out of his flesh, and every time he pops his claws, he bleeds. And he has to retract his claws to heal the holes in his hand. So they thought about that. They put the gauntlets on that have the claws in them instead. Very clever. Very clever. There's also the deal with Hank and Storm that were turned into piles of paper by Kurt's adopted mother. Can't pronounce her fucking name. But she took something out of these piles of paper that allowed her to access a portal to the afterlife, the other realm, or whatever you want to call it. Kurt found this out very quickly through his long first love, Amanda. And they decided that no matter what, they have to stop her. But, you know, Amanda's left behind for a while to help heal Storm and Beast. Yet she's telling Kurt, because she stole this information through the papers that she turned them into, once they're reassembled, Storm and Hank are not going to remember that Nightcrawler is indeed back, nor are they going to remember how they got him back. So once Storm and Hank in this series, once they're reassembled and once they're saved, they're going to have to be debriefed on how everything happened with Nightcrawler. Nicely twisted. I wonder if they'll follow through with that, which I'm willing to bet they probably won't in all the other X-Men titles, but in here they might, and I think they should. And if Chris Claremont is the good writer I know he is, I think he will follow up on that particular twist. But what really sold it for me was the ending of the issue. Nightcrawler tried to go with Amanda into the afterlife to help seal the portal so that nothing bad can escape into the realm of the living. But remember what Nightcrawler did to come back. He had to give up his soul, which means he can never go back there. And they touched on that, and the end of the issue just makes you go, oh, Kurt, I'm so sorry, buddy. This was a great read. Not perfect, but it was an amazing read. Fantastic. There's plenty of good action, plenty of drama, nice tension-filled twists, and a very, very emotionally hard ending. Just really, really good. I'd give it a 4. Alright, we're ending this review with Spider-Man 2099 number 1. Peter fucking David! On a Spider-Man book. I'm in. This was good. Excuse me, this was good. Oh man, where do I begin? Our old friend Miguel O'Hara going under an alias. And I liked how the first page brings everybody up to speed on what Spider-Man 2099 essentially is. I like that. You know, in just one page, the entire mythos of 2099 Spider-Man can be summed up just like that. I love it. And long story short, there's some nutball who's claiming to be from 2211 or something like that, the year, and he's coming back into the past to deal with Spider-Man in the Spider-Man 2099 in the year 2014 because of stuff he's going to be later on doing in the Alchemax company. I mean, there's just all kinds of crazy shit going on in here, and this henchman, he's not robotic. He's not monotone. He's not one-dimensional. He actually cracks some good lines in here. Like when Miguel is trying to, you know, tells his holographic friend to drop the holographic clothing so he can get into his Spider-Man costume, she suggests, how about a tuxedo? So she puts a tuxedo on him. And he's like, I didn't need a tuxedo. And the henchman goes, actually, it actually looks kind of good on you. Like, this guy's fucking wisecracking. He's not one-dimensionally monotone or robotic. I fucking love this. And when we get to the end of the issue, you know, Miguel's going in, he runs into Liz Allen. He's like, oh, of course I get into Liz Allen's office. And Liz is like, you can't be Spider-Man. You don't have the same look and you're not cracking jokes. He's like, okay, a priest and a rabbi walk into a bar, you think they would have seen it. There, you happy? And, just good shit. And the henchman goes and he's like, wait a minute, Liz Allen, you've already had your child, right? Okay, so, Spider-Man, I'll be willing to grant you a deal. I can get rid of her and save you. And he's like, and instead of going, no way, Putty, no way, that's not what a Spider-Man can do, he's like, sold, and he fakes him out. This is great shit. I know I'm spoiling the hell out of this, but I kind of feel like I had to explain why I fucking love this so much. This was really good. This was really good. But I will not spoil the last page. The last page was really good, and it proves that Liz Allen is damn smart. She's a lot smarter than I think people would take her credit for. But this was a phenomenal start to this series. This was much better than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be your standard cookie cutter introductory issue to a new series that Marvel desperately wants to make more money off of. That's what I thought I was going to get, and I thought I was going to get maybe a 3-star book or, you know, maybe a 3.5. I'm giving this a fucking 4.5. This was great. Just awesome. Just an awesome beginning to a great series. Peter, thank you. This was good. Fantastic. Fan-fucking-tastic. That's all I got for this review, everybody. Don't forget, the link's in the description below to my Afterlife wrestling card on my Blugoblin X channel. As I said, Jennifer and I have found some new stuff to review for Arkham Asylum Studio, so we're good to get to that. Don't forget to follow me on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, or here on YouTube. I don't care. Just follow me somewhere. Just don't follow me down a dark alley. That's creepy. Don't forget my bro, TheMtVernonKid, my old buddies Deadpoolzilla and Brandon Hex. Thanks for watching, everybody, and until next time, as always, see y'all later.